my name is Michael Richards. I'm from People First of Ohio. Today, we have Leslie from the DD Council, and I'm going to turn it over to Craig Walker.
I'm Craig. I'm the coordinator for People First of Ohio, and we do have an exciting topic today. Got a lot of people registered for this topic, and it looks like we've got even more people coming in as we speak. But Leslie Connelly, like Michael just said, she's with the DD Council, and Michael, you used to serve on this committee, the Clear Language Committee, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people we try to communicate in many different ways. And a lot of people have been talking about clear language or plain language. So I thought, man, Leslie would be the one to have come on here since she's in charge of that committee. And they do have some great resources. She's got a PowerPoint for us today. So, Leslie, I'm going to turn it over to you. And we're excited to hear about this topic.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Let's see if I do. Sorry, it takes me a minute.
That's okay.
I'm not the most tech savvy. I'm fine. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, looks good.
Okay. First off, I talk really fast. So slow me down if I start talking fast. I might also bore you because parts of this end up sounding like you're in English class. So if you're like, okay, let's say I don't need all this detail, just let me know. I tried to save you from some of it. But as Craig said, I was going to talk about making documents so all audience can understand them and participate. But first, I thought I would talk about DD Council because I know not all of you know, and I know Michael knows, but not everybody knows. So councils were created in 1963 under the Developmental Disabilities Assistance and Bill of Rights Act. We just call it the DD Act. And there's a council in every state. And so there's a national network, and everybody's committed to self-determination and community inclusion for people with developmental disabilities. And we receive federal funding for advocacy, capacity building, and systems change. Very similar to the initiative of People First. And council funds projects, grants that help promote systems change. And we currently have 25 projects, and those can be found on our website, which I have later on in this PowerPoint. And I'll make sure I'll give the PowerPoint to Craig so he can distribute it. But, we have projects like in Athens County to help improve transportation so it can go across county borders and those kind of things so people can get to doctor's appointments. We have all kinds of different projects. And our members are people with disabilities, parents and guardians of people with disability, and representatives from state agencies and organizations providing services. If you want to become a member, the application can be found on our website. So council began a plain language initiative because of one of our council members. She was really into creating information that was easily understood by all audiences. And she wanted our members, no matter what their reading ability was, to be able to participate in the meetings easier. So we began a subcommittee on plain language. We quickly changed the name to Clear Language because some of the members just thought plain language didn't make sense. So I'm very used to calling it Clear Language now instead of plain language. But it describes how we want to make our documents and our materials easier to read and understand. And we ask all of our members and staff and grantees to use the guidelines that the subcommittee has developed. And Michael was very involved in that, and probably remembers us going through things word by word. We do a lot of that. And tell you the truth, we loved members, and we still do, who can't read. I mean, it's very valuable. To help us know what words are most understood. So other organizations, including the federal government, are starting to use clear language, but they use it by other names, plain language normally. But it's supposed to make things easier to read and understand. However, I don't know if you guys have found this. It doesn't seem like anything that comes out of like Social Security Administration or any of those are really that easy to read. So I don't know how good a job they're doing, so, because some of it's really difficult. Council has a handbook, and it's how to write clear language. It can be found on our website, and you can download it, or you could actually read it on the website like a book. But I put here, you could see what kind of stuff's in the table of contents. It goes into some great detail on, why we think this is the best font. So you can see here what's in the table of contents. And like I said, it goes through some great detail on what's the best size margin and all that kind of information, and gives examples. And I have some of that a little bit later. So again, clear language, make sure all readers understand information quickly and correctly. It's not oversimplified. I want to make sure I'm clear that it's not easy read. We get some confusion that we're trying to do easy read, which that kind of strips a lot of the information away. So if you have an easy read material compared to a plain language or clear language material, you're not getting the same information. And we wanted to be sure that everybody's getting the same information and really only having one document. We don't want to have two documents because then everybody's not getting the same information. We just need to write everything so people can understand it. And we want readers to concentrate on what the message says instead of trying to understand complicated words and writing. I think professionals in the field sometimes think, making something more wordy and all that, but thinks it's better, but it really isn't if people don't understand it. Clear language, it's made up of two parts. It's part one is the words, which is called the body copy, and what the page looks like. And the layout. And to help you write clearly, use the guidelines in our booklet. Part one, if you look at the words, you need to keep them easy to read and understand. Write with accurate, simple words. Choose words you think your audience will understand. Don't use long words when a shorter word will do, and don't write more than you need to. So if you look in the little box, instead of using in the near future, use the word soon, or with regard to, use the word about. Try to eliminate acronyms and jargon unless you define them. And write in a conversational style, as if you were talking with a person. Use pronouns in your sentences, such as I, we, and you. Okay, this is where it starts seeming like an English class, but try to write in the active voice. The subject of your sentence should act instead of being acted upon. I know that sounds really weird. So the easiest way to do this is put your subject first in the sentence, and that usually helps create the active voice. If you're wondering if your sentence is an active voice, ask yourself, who is doing the activity? If you can answer who, then it is probably an active voice. And so an example, we will ask you questions. So if you ask who is asking the questions, it's we. But instead, if you say you will be asked questions, in that you don't know who is, you can't answer the question who. So I hope that makes sense. I find that a little difficult and I have to think about it a lot.
And it's a little confusing,
I know.
but
I
it
don't
makes sense
remember.
once you think about it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's an active voice, but it is easier to understand. Um, Use complete short sentences and paragraphs. Keep paragraphs to one main idea. You can have short paragraphs. They don't have to be lengthy, but it's good to break up your information. And so that way it's easier for the reader to follow along. Create clear headings and subheadings to guide your reader through the document and arrange the paragraphs in a logical order. Am I going too fast? Am I going okay? Okay. Always use person first language. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this, but emphasize the person first, not the disability. So, for example, my neighbor who is blind won Employee of the Month instead of saying my blind neighbor won Employee of the Month. Talk about the person first and only include the disability if it's necessary. And we have a guidebook on how to write in person first language, and that can also be found on our website. Okay, don't think that clear language is too simple. If it's easy, it will be more useful for beginning readers and will be that much quicker for all readers. It's also easier for somebody who might not be reading it themselves, but someone's reading it to them. So that they can understand it easier. You are not talking down to the reader. You are making sure that everybody understands what you are trying to say to them. Okay, layout. And I know the words are a little small on here. So, when you get the PowerPoint, you can look at it. But like I said, layout is what it looks like on the page. And I didn't think I didn't want to go through this each one because I would bore you to death. Was somebody going to say something? Okay. But this would talk about the font and the size, which we recommend Arial. We recommend size 14. And then headings to be a little bigger and the subheadings to be a different size. So we have all the recommendations. We have margin recommendations, different color schemes, because you want to make it best for the reader and when they're looking at the page. Like you don't want really tiny print or things making it difficult for people, especially if there's any kind of vision issues. So even the amount of white space on a page is important. And you want white space because it makes it easier for the reader to see the information you're trying to put down. So some of the things that council has developed, the subcommittee is, like I said, the handbook. We did an executive summary of our state plan and put it into, because I don't know if you've looked at our state plan, and every council has a state plan, but they're kind of lengthy and rough, and there's a lot of information that isn't really necessary for everybody to have to understand what council is doing. So we did an executive summary. We've done various materials to help our members participate in meetings and grant reviews because it's very important that our council members can participate. We review documents for outside agencies. We're going to review something for the department this next meeting. And we've done information for our grantees when they're submitting grants because I'll tell you, some of those grants that come in, you have to have a PhD to understand them because they're written by somebody with a PhD and they can be difficult. So you're like asking them, please write them a little bit so everyone can understand them. We did a document on how to run a meeting, and we take this document and for our own council members, especially the new chairs, and we laminate it and put it in their folder. And it kind of helps them with, how do I ask for a motion? Or how do I take a vote? And what are the steps for the meeting? So we did that. Our council members seemed to that needed it. It seemed to be pretty useful. We have templates for agendas, and we use pictures in there too, so people can follow along. And we always try to use the little icons, so the pictures, the same way every time. So we don't change what the picture will be for quorum or snack. We will always use the same picture. And we have templates for minutes. And like I said, that whole margins and all that, they're very thought out on why we recommend, and some of that's in our guidebook. And for the individual who wanted to know where our website was, here's our website address. And you can find all our council meeting schedules there, which everybody online can always join our council meeting. You can either attend in person or you can attend online. There will be a Zoom link there and you can join online. There's resources for our members. You'll find our grants and our publication library and anything going on. And then we have social media and newsletter outlets. So the addresses for all that are here, but you can also go on to our website, and I believe you can find all of these too. So I know you can find our Facebook and some of our other things that we put out, like the public policy information and that kind of stuff. And that's where you can find us and our my contact information. So like I said, oops, I didn't mean to do that. And I don't even know why I did that. Oh, well, okay, I'll just turn it there. Oh my goodness. The
This is not
communication.
the technology training, so we're okay.
Okay, I apologize. Should I just turn it off? Should I end sharing and just take
Fine,
questions?
sure.
Okay.
Uh,
I told you I get through things pretty quick, so.
that's okay. That is great. We like concise, short, easy to understand information. And that's what I was going to mention. You mentioned acronyms and jargon and words that everybody can understand. So concise, when I said concise, I described what it was. And I know that some of our trainings, we try to go ahead and throw some of those words in, but immediately explain what it is so that it is a learning thing. So then the next time we hear that word concise, we get it. We understand what that is. So yeah, if you want to keep that up, you can, or if you want to stop sharing, that would be fine too. And we can see everybody as we go into questions.
I
But
didn't know it was still.
oh, that's okay. So acronyms, that was one thing that I picked up that you spoke about. And a lot of people don't understand what acronyms are until they hear what an acronym really is. And it's when we get into meetings and everybody starts in with talking about DDC being the DD Council, DODD. You've got your ISP. When you were a kid, you had an IEP, and you work with. And this is what makes it really confusing: is what is SSA? Does anybody know? SSA. Nobody wants to say. It's a Social Security Administration. So we didn't like the term case management in Ohio, and we called all of our people who work with us, who work for a county board of DDs, an SSA, which is exactly the same thing as Social Security Administration. So it becomes a very difficult thing, even using all of these letters. And if you go, I posted in the chat the resource for how to write clear language, and I posted the main website as well. So you can click on those and get on the main website for the DD Council. But they have a really neat booklet. I have given it out since the initial launch, the first launch of that. I have given it out many, many years, mostly to county board members who have no clue what these acronyms are. So I've given it to direct support professionals. I've given it to individuals who receive services. I've given it to families. I've still got a great big stack in my office. But those ABCs, because it's all about the alphabet, that is one of the best publications I've ever seen. And if somebody says something that you don't understand, you can look it up.
That booklet you're talking about, the acronym booklet, was another one of Sue Willis's booklets that she did.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, when we were getting ready for this meeting, Michael wanted to make sure he got the title of the presentation down and all of this, and he says, "Could you just give me a blurb and I'll do the introduction?" And Michael, you shared with me right before. He says, "I'm
I
just going
said
to
I
turn it
don't
over
want
to
to
you."
butcher it up. I don't want to butcher it up. 'Cause
Well, and why? Because I didn't use clear language, right?
right.
I think we're all guilty of it.
Oh, it is hard going back after you write a document and try to make it clearer. And that happens with especially the state plan that council has to write. It is very difficult to make sure that it, it can be read by everyone and read and understood. Read is probably the wrong word. It's more understood by everyone.
Right.
Because we just get into our own little topics, and we don't necessarily make it easy to understand.
That's true. I know we have several advisors for our People First groups on today, and I know that this was a great resource for them as well as they get ready for meeting announcements. I just received an announcement from a disability organization, and they are looking to hire someone. And they used it. It can even be the way we present. You talked about fonts, which is the type of typing that we do, and actually how big you put it, how big you make it. They used a background image, and they used white lettering over this image of a person, and I couldn't read any of it. I had no clue what they were asking. Luckily, they had summarized it at the end and I could understand. But sometimes we do that when we put out a flyer about, hey, we have a meeting. And if it can't be something that people can quickly understand, they will throw it away. I do that. Right. Click off of the email if I can't see it.
Yeah, if you let's get real. If you get a document and it's just heavy with words and big paragraphs, I'm not looking at that one real quick. I'm going to go for the one that is a little bit easier on my eyes and won't take me as much, and I can go through those bullet points. Sometimes I think people forget that. I mean, you want to get your message across, and you got to make it easier for your reader.
I know that some of the chapters we have visited, we took a copy of your meeting agenda. Is that online as well?
Yes, it's
Okay.
it's in our guidebook.
Okay. So the pictures and everything that makes it easier for people, that would be wonderful if all of our chapters had that.